from our nation's capital here in DC, where for us Floridians, it's a very cold, cold day. Things we're going to be talking about in this update here is the efforts to secure Florida's elections and enforce the immigration laws that President Trump is asking for. Let's get straight to the headlines. First, a key citizen bill aimed at removing non citizens from the voter rolls has successfully met the deadline to be in the drafting process and now has both the Senate and a House sponsor in the state of Florida. In addition to targeting non citizens, this bill also seeks to remove individuals that are no longer alive from the voter rolls, as well as remove people that are in the state of Florida from another state, because these three groups of people are not supposed to be on the voter rolls. Meanwhile, efforts continue to improve the reliability of vote by mail procedures. So there's another bill in the state of Florida that is working on that. As you know, this vote by mail process is a debacle. Any country that uses vote by mail has tremendous amount of unreliability in the voting process. This particular measure attempts to take this controversial vote by mail phenomenon and make it more reliable by introducing a stricter identification process to explore ways to limit ways in which the election can be exploited through fraud. Also on the table, a proposal for single-day voting as a means to further secure election integrity. Now, we'll stay in the state of Florida, but go to something else, another topic, and that is Florida Immigration Bill. This is Senate Bill 2B, as in boy. And on this front, a significant bill is making waves in Florida politics. The bill, you won't believe the name here, it's called Tackling and Reforming Unlawful Migration Policy. The acronym is Trump. So this bill is called the Trump Act. It has been introduced aiming to coordinate state enforcement of federal immigration laws. This legislation positions Florida's Commissioner of Agriculture, more on that in a minute, as the chief immigration officer responsible for liaising with federal immigration agencies. This bill also establishes the Office of State Immigration Enforcement within the Department of Agriculture to oversee enforcement efforts, conduct audits, and administer grants to local enforcement agencies. And we talk about grants, there's $500 million that's associated with this legislation. Meanwhile, a broader debate is unfolding, a drama, if you will, between the governor, who first introduced this idea of passing legislation and called for special legislation session, and his own legislation. Each of these two individuals claim to support strong immigration enforcement, but upon closer examination, their approaches have very, very significant differences. Now, President Trump has long emphasized the need to remove illegal immigrants, not only for border security, but also to prevent unlawful voting, which can sway the elections. He argues, and correctly so, that individuals who enter this country illegally do not hold the values or priorities of this country or even their local communities at heart. After all, they came here by breaking the law. And so, while many of these individuals from other countries are hardworking, striving to build a better life for themselves, no nation, and this is important, no nation really allows unrestricted entry without a regulated visa process. I had to get a visa, I had to go to the US Embassy, apply for a visa while I was in Africa, and only upon receiving the visa would I be able to even come into this country. And so there's a very regulated process, and almost every country has this. But in this country, the government chose to completely abandon that and allow anyone to just walk in, no criminal background and so on, no criminal background check and so on. So, addressing illegal immigration in the context of election security is so critical because it's one of the foundational pillars for why all the work on people that are here who broke the law and coming here should not be here. So, any policy that claims to support Trump's immigration stance, which both the governor says he's doing, both now the legislation says he's doing, but any bill that says they're doing that without tackling non-U.S. citizens on the voter rolls is really a facade. Why? Because the reality is that deportation efforts is really going to focus initially on the most egregious criminals that are here in this country who came here illegally. This leaves many other individuals who will be with us for a while because they're not egregious criminals. So these folks, some of them are already on the voter rolls and are already voting. So you, an American taxpayer, a citizen, your vote can be canceled by someone who fits that category. Now, the bill from the legislators have completely ignored this component. Governor DeSantis' bill has partly addressed this, but it has addressed it by increasing the penalties for people who are caught on the voting and are not citizens. Well, my friends, so many people are already on the voter rolls who are non-citizens, and they're not caught, they're not reported, because there's no directives to county officials to do that. Yet that's what the governor put in his bill. In addition, he wanted these individuals to swear that they are citizens. Well, this doesn't make a lot of sense because you can't expect a dishonest person who is not supposed to be here in the first place to do the honest thing by honoring what they swear. So it doesn't make sense. Now, going back to the legislation bill, the one that is also trying to follow Trump's vision, they have decided to put the Commissioner of Agriculture in charge of enforcing immigration laws. Now, let's look at that for a minute. One of the biggest industries in the state of Florida is agriculture. Agriculture relies on migrant labor. So why on earth, of all the people in the state of Florida that could serve in this critical role, why would they choose the person in charge of the Commissioner of Agriculture whose special interest groups need migrant labor, whose big donors need migrant labor? Why would you put him in charge? We'll continue to monitor this developing situation and keep you updated as new information emerges. For now, that's your update on Florida's election integrity and immigration policy. Stay tuned, stay engaged. Back to you, Ali and Michelle.